I'm Joe Arnold. We're on the backside of Churchill Downs near Todd Pletcher's barn here. Of course, Todd Pletcher, a longtime and soon-to-be Hall of Fame thoroughbred trainer, has gone through a lot over the years in terms of his Derby training. In fact, had trained dozens of Derby horses before finally breaking through with his first Derby win in 2010 with Super Saver, in the rain, by the way, with Calvin Burrell on the rail, and again in 2017 with Always Dreaming. We talked to Todd not only for Kentucky Living, but also for his support of a local charity in Louisville called Operation Open Arms that is hosting a party in a bubble, a virtual Derby Eve party on Oaks Night, and Todd Pletcher is proud to support that.
It's always special. You know, the Derby's just, such a unique event. It's the most coveted prize in American racing for sure, and not only the excitement for us as trainers and our staff, but the owners and just the whole community just gets really jazzed up for it.
Of course, this is a business. This is a major operation that you run here. How do you divide business with fun?
Primarily it's business. You try to stay calm and focus on your job, and not get too caught up in the excitement and the emotions of it. But you try to enjoy it. And one of the great things about being a trainer is that your family and friends can participate, come to the races, come to the workouts, and see a lot of the things that maybe you couldn't do with a regular job. So that part of it's extra fun as well.
Of course, last year the fans were most affected by the pandemic going on. How has the pandemic affected your operation?
Well, everyone, the whole world's been greatly affected by it. Fortunately for us in racing, we've been able to continue on, and the horses have to be taken care of whether we're racing or not. But we've been fortunate enough in most jurisdictions to be able to continue racing, and so that's really helped a lot of us get through it.
We're talking to you on a morning kind of rainy. I guess rain at Churchill Downs, though, has a great memory for you, right?
Yeah, we've been lucky in sloppy tracks at Churchill, so I would hope for good weather for everyone's sake. But if it rains and we get a sloppy track, maybe that's a good sign for us.
You've juggled, perhaps you're the expert in juggling multiple starters in a Derby, and again this year you're looking at the same thing here. How do you handle having different children, if you will, and who's your favorite, if you will? How do you handle the different owners, different interests?
Well, we try to do what's best for each individual horse, and that's the most important thing. And the way we look at it is, if these horses were running in the Kentucky Derby or any other race, we would be preparing them the same. So you try to just do the best you can with each one and put them in the best position to do the best they can.
I'm going to ask you a very elementary question now, okay? You're a champion trainer, but as far as what trainers do, what key decisions are you making? Is it from a yearling on? Is it being able to identify things early on and then adjust? Tell me what a trainer does.
Well, I think the most important thing you can do as a trainer is identify what your horse does well. And, in some cases they might be a sprinter, some cases they might be a horse that wants to run long on the dirt, maybe long on the turf, maybe sprint on the turf. The first thing is you got to identify what their specialty is and then try to work on that.
And so, at what point in the horse's career are you making those kind of decisions? And then what kind of decisions are you making, for instance, in the month ahead of the Derby?
Yeah, once you get to this point in Derby preparation, most of the major work is done. So in some cases, you're just kind of trying to maintain that form that they're coming in their last preps from, so it's some cases 3, 4, 5 weeks of trying to just keep them at that peak level. But when you're trying to identify what they do best, generally that's pretty early on, and you'll catch on to that through some of their beginning workouts. You'll start to see kind of what their ability level is and how their action is and maybe what surface they'll prefer.
Are any of the horses this year ones that you identified very early on saying, I pegged this one, this is going to be one that I think has a chance?
Well, you try to hope that they all have, big potential, but I think in this group they've all kind of come along at different stages. The filly that we run in the Kentucky Oaks, she was kind of extra special from day one. But sometimes the colts are a little less obvious. They can be a little bit on the lazy side sometimes and take a little while to come around.
Let me ask you about adversity. Operation Open Arms certainly helps the children, the infants, many times of women who are in prison. These families go through a lot. The foster families do. You know, I think about different times in your career. Certainly for the longest time, you were pegged as somebody who had multiple starters, maybe more than 20, without winning the Derby. And I'm not saying that was hanging over your head, but at the same time, that was a challenge. Tell me about adversities that you've handled and any advice you have for the folks who are watching.
Well, I mean, yeah, adversity is something, you know, that's all different levels for different people. And when you take on situations like this where, you know, children without their mom there, it can be very difficult. But I think the main thing is, you know, you've got to keep hope alive and keep thinking positively, and you know, and eventually it's gonna come around.
I know that by reputation you're a private person. Don't talk a lot about your family, but I also know that your family's involved here to a certain degree. Can you talk at all about your family and how important it is to have them as your support?
Yeah, I mean, you know, family is you know, it's really the foundation of everything that you do, and I've been fortunate to have, you know, parents that have been supportive not only, you know, in my personal life but in my professional life as well, and you know, provided me, first of all, introduced me to racing, and but they've always been there, and you know, sometimes you have a bad day and you lose a bunch of races, or you lose the Kentucky Derby 24 times, you know, and but they're always there to help pick you up.
Because your dad trained for how many years?
My dad trained for over 20 years, and he's still a big part of the operation with a training center in Ocala, Florida, and does a lot of preparation, a lot of horses that you know, people see on the big stage.
And is the third generation of Pletchers going to be involved with this?
It's possible. My son Peyton is actually a senior at Texas A&M University, and he's thinking about going into vet school, so maybe he might be in the horse business at some point.
So full circle, last question for you, Todd. Just Derby time, and just terms of like what you look forward to the most, and just any thoughts you have for the audience here tonight.
I mean, you know, Derby time is just it's an electric time in Louisville, and you know, for me, what's a lot of the fun is just, you know, watching not only our horses but other horses leading into it, and hopefully having your horses train really well, and the you know, the workouts and the preparation leading into it is a lot of fun.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.